Shalom. I thought it might be easier for me just to, off the cuff here, talk about why I think we'll be seeing Russia concede to Ukraine, whether or not that's because of Putin's demise, either ousted or oft, one way or another. However, in 6 months to a year, I feel like this is going to play out in Ukraine's favor. And here are some of the current events that are happening. So why? Putin just met with Trump in the last couple of days, and the real thing that I heard came out of those negotiations was that Putin ordered, however, that we were not to sell Tomahawk missiles. We could help with military aid, whatever, I guess that's what it is. With the exception, Putin specified no Tomahawk missiles. And it got me thinking, like, why would he be so afraid of Tomahawk missiles? And then I remembered that a couple weeks ago, something you didn't hear a lot in the the American news sources, is that another really successful drone attack that Ukraine had launched targeted the anti-aircraft missile silos that Russia has in various parts along the border and internally into the country. They're doing a great job with these drone attacks, which kind of makes me scared with even our own current American military, which is structurally similar to Russia. But I think that we're doing a much better job in the technology world, and the fact that we're working with Ukraine gives us this advantage of knowing what they're doing, their tactics, both to defend and potentially place into use. But I digress. The reason that the Tomahawks are huge for Russia that Ukraine doesn't get, obviously, is just a destruction. But if you're a country like Russia, you have the ability to shoot those out of the sky. Think about Israel shooting how many missiles and other armaments out of the sky, like 500 an hour, when the Iranians were firing at them, the dome, a couple months ago. Russia has that ability too, except they don't, because Ukraine has made pockets where they have destroyed their infrastructure to shoot down these missiles. Okay, a couple other things. So that's why I think Putin's really scared here. His defenses are compromised. He's basically admitting that. He wouldn't meet with Zelensky. He's feigning this like strength of power by not agreeing to meet and then deciding not to meet. That's, for me, screams that he's insecure between the Tomahawks, and then not meeting with Zelensky just seems like this fake power move. And then what just came out a couple days ago that I heard in Russia is that two things with the troops. Not only is Putin getting so desperate with the troops that he, for recruitment and whatnot, especially along the front lines, is that he is actually recruiting from prisons. So he has made offers to inmates. Doesn't matter if their crime was a burglary, small theft, to even murderers. All right, he made them a deal to go to the front lines, that they would commute the sentence or whatever. They just needed to spend, I think it was 6 months at the front line. But then, now that it's been 6 months, Putin expected them to either die or to, for them to win. Well, they're not. And so now they're asking for Russia to make good on that agreement. And Russia's like, no, we're going to need you to stay in the front lines longer. So reneging on the on the deals that they made with prisoners to get out of jail. Now that's cascading. There's starting to be reports of these border towns that are increases in crime by the criminals that Russia released to fight the war for them. So they're internally attacking now, and they're going to have to deal with all of that. Obviously, that takes away from the ranks and provides internal chaos, which is only going to confound things more at the battlefront. That's the criminal troop, the troops that are from the criminal contingent. There's a whole other group of troops that are just now finding out that they signed on for bonuses, million ruble bonuses. Well, the Russian parliament just passed something at Putin's behest, or however it works, but basically saying that they don't have to be paid. They were, I don't know, made in duress under the Russian government, but the Russian parliament just passed that they do not have to pay these million ruble bonuses that they promised to civilians to go take up arms at the front. Again, I guess they expected them to die or whatever. So half of his troops are criminals that are disbanding, and half of the remaining are going to start disbanding because they just got told that they're not getting paid. So then internally, another thing that's happening is that the railway workers are unionized in some kind of capacity, at least in the sense, so insofar as to strike. So they're not getting paid. There's some serious debt in the economy. We talk about our government shutdown, but there apparently there is some issue with government workers, or however you're getting paid, but the railway workers are going on strike. If that's not going to cause issue, if that's not another thing that gives insight into how bad Russia is collapsing and rotting from the inside, they just can't support this war that's taxing so much from the outside. And that gets me to Crimea then, so the gold bond. The other thing is they don't have the money. Part of that issue that they can't pay the troops that they promised, they can't pay these railway workers and other things, it comes from before the war. The European Union had frozen, not before the war, but when the war started, froze $300 billion worth of Russian gold and assets held in bonds and other things. And anyway, you don't need to get to all of that. Is that there was an extreme amount of wealth, that like tangible wealth, gold, not just fiat currency, that Russia had, that it owned, but it was held in third-party countries, and now they can't access that. They can't access it to back up their currency or to pay out things. And what the EU is doing now, this is dragging on. They've already done it once, and I made a post about that previously. But what they did previously, when Trump had backed off that deal with Zelensky, they came in and signed a 500 missile deal with Ukraine. And so basically Germany and a couple other countries, they took missiles out of their stockpiles, they sold them to Ukraine, and the money that they used to offset that transaction was not from Ukraine, was actually Russian gold that they used to pay Germany in some kind of weird way of saying that there's a reparations owed to Ukraine from Russia. So that asset, the gold or whatever it was, get transferred to Ukraine to then pay Germany for the missiles. Does that make sense? Now they're doing the same thing, but with all of Russia's assets, like $300 billion worth of gold is about to get bonded out to everyone. Now this is going to happen because there's an impetus for the war for people in Europe to get filthy rich. Some of it's going to go to Ukraine, but don't think otherwise, that it's not going to be siphoned off to the elites that have access now as part of the process of taking Russia money, giving it to Ukraine to give to another country to pay for infrastructure or whatever. Okay, and Ukraine doesn't have to pay that back because it's going to be war. It's war money now. It's reparations, not post facto, pre-settlement. So with all those things, I think 6 months to a year, we see Russia concede. If there's an overthrow of Putin, which I think is very likely at this point, then it could happen sooner. But it's over. It's over. Hopefully Russia doesn't do something really stupid in its desperate 11th hour. But yeah, I was wrong. I admit it. Ukraine's got this.